I really look forward to changing the oil in my 4.6 Thunderbird. Said no Thunderbird owner ever. Hey, this is Aaron from Two Labs Garage. I plan on fixing that problem permanently on my 96 Thunderbird by installing a remote oil filter. Stay tuned. So if you've owned one of these Thunderbirds, or Cougars, or Mark 8s, or pretty much any other vehicle that's got an oil filter that's a real bear to get to, you can probably relate. I can't think of a single time in the 20 years I've owned this car that I have not changed the oil and had blood and busted knuckles and gouges in the oil filter and everything else. They're just a bear to do on these cars, but I got an idea how I'm going to fix that. Now this same technique should work on pretty much any car that's got a inconvenient oil filter. And a lot of people like me have been known to put off the oil changes on these just because they're such a beast to get to. In fact, the only vehicle I've ever paid somebody else to change the oil on was this one. That doesn't count the time I was in college and had a different car, didn't have the tools. But yeah, other than that, this is the only car I've ever paid somebody to change the oil on just because it's such a beast. Alright, this right here is what I'm belly aching about. Now I know right here it doesn't seem too bad, but that area around the power steering pump is actually smaller than the filter. Somewhere on that filter, if I were to run the camera all the way around it, there's a gouge. Now it's not all the way through, but to get the filter in, you have to point it with a solid side facing forward, go up through here, up in there, flip it around, and then thread it on. And like I said, I have never ever done this and not been bleeding when I was done. Now my idea is to put the thing on there and run the remote filter maybe up in here, maybe under the... See, I tried to hold a bunch of things at once. Maybe put it like here or something. The big thing is you want to make sure, whatever you do, that you don't create another problem. See, up in here, the inner fender behind under the battery, that's not a bad idea either. Well, we got some choices. I'll figure out what to do. Alright, so one of the first things I'm going to want to do is make sure I got good access with my new filter. And it does change the size on the filter when you use the remote one. More on that later, and you do have some options, but nonetheless, this is what I'm probably going to use. It's pretty much the standard Ford filter. There, no problem. There, no problem. How's it doing here? Slightly more gymnastics involved, but it's not bad. Kind of like it there. And for now, I'm just going to stick it back in the box just to keep it clean. And I also want to get a good look at where I'm thinking of mounting it and what's on the back side, because I want to make sure that when my mounts go through, they don't cause any kind of problems. I'm really kind of liking the idea of putting it here under the battery, because it's kind of out of the way there. I don't know yet. Both locations seem to have advantages and disadvantages. Alright, so these are a couple of aluminum pieces that came with my relocation kit. Unfortunately, it's been a while since I got this, so I don't know what brand it was. But I'll just show you a couple things. This goes on where the oil filter does. It fits on the stud coming out of the engine. And it's got some barb fittings that you screw in here. Now this is the piece that you mount in your remote location. A couple lag bolts. Oh, they're going to be fun. Yowzers. Who came up with that idea? Anyway, they're kind of behind ears, so as you can tell by my reaction already, I don't think they're going to be a whole lot of fun to mount, but we'll be alright. And they give you these lag screws to mount them up with. And the orange paint you see on these, I put that on there, and that's just to help me keep things straight once I get under there and start working on it. I know that the orange paint holes line up. That's what corresponds when I'm connecting the hose. And the ones without paint, likewise. And as for getting my holes in there, I plan on using this as a nut driver, but it's good. Now that I look at the way that mounting flanges, it's going to be a challenge. But I'm going to pre-drill my holes with this Makita right angle drill. This thing's 20 years old easy. But really good piece. You can find these around, and there are other companies nowadays that make them. I think when I got this, the only one you could just go find was a Makita. So, especially nowadays, Amazon, I think there's some foreign brands that you never heard of that make one of these, and that's something that you're not going to use a whole lot. It'll do you just fine. But for close quarters, until you can't beat it. So anyway, another thing I want to mention is the reason I really want to put it up under the battery is I'd like to be able to mount it like this where my filter comes up under it, because GM does things that way, and the real advantage of that is you can fill your oil filter when you put it on, and it doesn't take as long to build oil pressure. It cuts down that dry time the engine's running. I just think that's a much better design than Ford that puts them in sideways, or like my Dodge truck, that Mopar, where you put it in right side, so there's no way to put any oil in it. But nonetheless, if I can get it to where I can do it GM style and really take care of my engine, that's my preference. Let's crawl under. There we go. Right in here like this is where I'm going to try to have it. So I'm going to have to try to put a couple holes in there and hopefully get them in the right spot. This is going to be a challenge. But I'm up to it, and hopefully this will work out and I can put my oil filter on and my lines, and this will be a one-time time investment, and it won't be near as bad from this point onward. I've got the GoPro sitting up as support now. I can barely see it, and I most definitely cannot see the lens or the viewfinder, so I'm going to hope that I'm getting y'all some footage here, but I really don't know what it's going to look like. Alright, so it started getting dark on me the other night, so I knocked off. And I thought of something before I came back out here. And that's, once I get that bracket situated exactly how I want it, well, it's going to be kind of hard to put the threaded nipples on there. So while I still can kind of rotate it around, and I got real good access to those areas, I'm going to go ahead and put my nipples on it. This kit I got came with a roll of Teflon tape, which is handy. And a lot of times you get a kit, they give you just enough to do the job. This one's given a full roll, and from what I can tell so far anyway, this is decent stuff. We'll go ahead and put the tape on the threads before I crawl back under. If you have trouble remembering the way to do the tape on these, because it took me a while to figure that out, just start it on here and turn the fitting just like you're tightening it down. If you do that, you'll have the Teflon going on the right way. You don't have to remember anything special, just act like you're tightening it. And that way too, if you just so happen to have something that's got left-hand threads, you won't get confused. Alright, so while I was in the garage getting my wrench, I went and grabbed the box. And this is a Permacool part number 10618. engine oil filter relocation system. So anyway, so far I've been impressed with the quality of what's in there. So anyway, go crawl back under, and I'm going to go ahead and fasten these on. I'm going to try to show you what I mean here. I know it's kind of hard to see with my hand up in there, but right now, see how I can kind of rotate this around? Alright, when it's rotated that way, I got really good access to put those nipples on. When I get it rotated to the upright position, they'll be facing straight up in the air. It won't be nearly as easy. Now I'm still gonna have to continue with putting the hose on, but and done. And that way I can just rotate it up. But before I do that, I am gonna look at the length on the lines that they gave me, because it might be in my best interest to go ahead and put them on and just kind of dip them away. But I gotta make sure I got sufficient length and I'm not gonna be putting them on too short. All right, so there she is mounted up. I missed the level mark by just a little bit, but it'll still perform the same objective I had for putting it in this position, even if it's a little out kilter. So I'm fine with it. Also allow my hoses not to interfere with the battery if it can go around it. That's also a good thing. So anyway, for now, that's done. I need to focus my attention right there on that oil filter, getting that off and getting the other end of this contraption screwed in its place. Now, if you've ever changed the oil on one of these cars, you are very, very familiar with what I've been talking about. If you're not, I'll attempt to show you. It's kind of hard to hold the camera and get to focus. But that's, I can't even get my hand all the way around that. And you can't get to it from the other side. So, I've been known to be able to get these off by hand. Especially, sometimes I've actually been known to spring for the Fram filter just because of the rough textured top, but I tend not to do that. But it has happened. But yeah, I've got to get a tool on that, which there's not really a whole lot of room for. Alright, so I have pulled a Thunderbird 4.6 oil filter, hopefully for the last time. This thing's beat up, gouged. I'm beat up and gouged. I mean, these things are just a bear to get out. Scrape paint off that side. That's not dirt right there. That's where the paint got scraped off just trying to get it out. But clean up just to show y'all what an ordeal. Let's look at it now. And this is every time I change oil in this car. For the past 20 years. Well, I've put well over 100,000 miles on this car. I am so glad that I am not going to have to do this anymore. Alright, so the part that goes up near the engine, or on the engine, I've gone ahead and put the O-ring in there. And I reckon I'll put some oil on it just like normal oil change I would the filter. And I got my barb ends on there, tightened them down. Now I don't know what I was thinking earlier when I said it was 3/4 inch, because these went on with a 7/8, and the ones on the other end, on the mount end that goes up in the fender under the battery area, that was 11/16, so scratch what I said about 3/4. But nonetheless, got these ready to go, and I'm getting ready to go do the thing. Tighten it up. Hopefully this won't be nothing like getting the filter off. This will hopefully go very easily. And go see if I can't find me a pair of channel locks, because I think that's what's going to do best for gripping this and getting that last bit of tightness to it. So anyway, to that. Alright, so there we go. We got the adapter that goes where the oil filter is hooked up. Yeah, I see these wires too. That's something I'm going to address after this video. It might be included on another one, might not. I'll just put a little of that liquid electrical tape over there and yeah, call that fixed. But anyway, now I gotta get my hoses hooked up. And the one that was orange, I've marked In my particular case, the orange one's the far one, so that'd be what I want to put on first. So, alright, I gotta go round up some tubing cutters to cut this hose and put the hose clamps on it. Do the other side same way. And then we pretty much got the remote filter thing hooked up. Alright, so there we go. Lines are hooked up. Now that the lines are hooked up, probably thinking that at this point is pretty much a standard oil change. Not so fast. By adding all this hose and whatnot, we have actually increased the oil capacity of this car. Now, I did some looking up on Google, and I'm going to confirm this, but from what I saw, and there we go. Now, you may have noticed earlier I had a white Hastings oil filter. Yeah, that turned out to be for my 97 Dodge pickup, so that's why we've switched to a Baldwin BL2, but that's the correct one, and it really fits nicely in here. I'll tell you some other part numbers that have the same thread and the same gasket and whatnot that you could use in place if you had more of a restriction on space and diameter or overall length. But I don't know them off the top of my head. Like I said, I'll get to that, and I'll probably put it down in the description. Try to help you all out. But at this point, I can go ahead and drop the oil in it and fill the oil up, check for leaks, and check my levels. And we will have a full oil change done. I'll report back to you how much oil it ends up taking and whatnot, but there you have it. That is how to make, you got one painful oil change, but it'll also be the last painful oil change on one of these Thunderbirds. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful for your Thunderbird, your Cougar, your Mark 8, or any other car that you're having just a hard time getting the filter on and off, and you're tired of bleeding and tired of a headache and all. I'm going to say that putting this thing on it was simple, but it was a little aggravating. And by that, I mean just close quarters work and not being able to see your hands while you're working, doing a lot of work blind. But was it worth it? Absolutely. If you would, please go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. Helps me out a lot, and I hope that this video helped you out a lot. And we got a lot more work coming up on the channel. More coming on the Thunderbird, my Dodge truck, my Ford truck, my Red Galaxy will hopefully be coming back to the channel before long. And something tells me that there might be a blue car getting a revival around here sometime soon. I don't know. But there's a rumor about something lurking in the background. So anyway, take care of yourself. Take care of your projects. Take care of each other. God bless you. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.